The holidays are here at the Home Depot, so let's get to decorating. Find your perfect tree in our huge assortment of shapes, sizes, and styles. Like the easy-to-assemble Jackson Noble fir, with pre-lit branches perfect for styling with all your favorite ornaments. Or the Flock Starry Light Fraser fir, with over 1,900 pre-lit memory wire branches that keep their shape so it's ready right out of the box. Ooh. Find the perfect tree now at the Home Depot.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Pod Mavericks Group Therapy. This is our secondary live show where if you want to join and talk a little basketball with me, rant and rave, say something you actually liked about the game, if there was anything you might have liked, click on I'm going to post the link again in the comments, and then I'm going to go pin it on YouTube. Join the show, and then, I'll bring you up one at a time, and we'll hang out till folks are ready to go to bed. Coming up first is my man, Brian. Brian, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Oop, I removed you by accident. Try again. There we go. Unmute yourself, though.
Oops, sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. Hey, Kirk.
Hello!
I hate this team.
You hate what?
I hate this team. I hate everything about this team.
We're there. How depressing.
I hate like 95% of the players on this team. I hate every coach on this team. I hate everybody in the front office for this team. I loathe the ownership of this team. I hate our star player. I hate our second star's ligaments.
I think they just gave him a rest day.
It was a rest day, and
yeah.
I was cool with it. Because I was saying all day long, it's fine that Kyrie rests tonight. Because the Mavericks have been doing the one thing they've been doing this season that they did last year is taking care of rat teams.
Yes, they were. They finally gotten good at that.
Mm-hmm. And this Utah Jazz team is the rattiest of the rat teams. And I've been saying that all day long. And, of course, my karmic revenge is, no, they fucked this up too. In very embarrassing fashion. Not only do they let the worst team in the league, whose star wasn't shooting well and then was missing for the last 4 minutes of the game, build a 16-point lead on you that you have to climb back out of. Then you lose in the clutch on some of the dumbest defensive breakdown. Did you see that stretch in, I believe it was the second quarter, as they were building the lead that we had to break to get to having a 3-point lead at halftime, where Luka came down. No, this must have been in the third, actually. Luka came down and bricked 4 straight step-back threes.
I remember 2 of them.
I think there were like at least 3 consecutive possessions of bricked threes where Utah built their lead because Jordan Clarkson was hitting threes while he was missing them, including that one absolutely bullshit one that wouldn't have gone in had Hardy decided to play defense instead of flop.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one, I guess there are 2 good things you can take away.
Sure.
I'll be generous and say 3.
Okay.
Quentin Grimes responded
look good
perfectly to the benching in the Denver game with how he played in the last game, and he came out even better in the first half of this game. I was elated by that. Najee Marshall had a bad first quarter and could not shoot and would not shoot very often, which was a precursor to the last shot of the game. But he still played really hard and he scored in transition and he kept the ball moving so that Luka didn't have to at times, and that was nice. And the third thing is, as bad as this team was over the course of this game, they didn't start down 8 to 10 points in the first 5 minutes after making Lively the starter. And as poorly as he played, I do think that that is a part of the reason for that. And that is why in the third quarter they built a 16-point lead and not a 25-point lead. This team is only built apparently to play from behind. And playing from ahead is just not possible when your best player just doesn't value possessions. Just the live ball turnovers, the ill-advised step back threes, the ill-advised contested middies. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like the defense is a whole other thing. They benched Clay, closed game, because the defense was untenable. And the lineup that got us back in the game was without.
I mean, I don't know if any lineup got the Mavericks back in the game. The Jazz were tanking. Like you could see Danny Ainge standing behind. What the hell's his name? They're
Will Hardy. Yeah.
He looks like the Quaid kid though.
Yeah, he does look like Huey.
He looks like Huey, and I'm just like, Huey's coaching. It's good for him. But you could see some like they don't want.
Yeah, they actively tried to give the game back in the last 8 minutes, and we just didn't want it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did, and then we're like, you know what? We don't want it. Have it right back. So, well,
that is the most embarrassing loss since they let Toronto come back from being down 33 on them years ago.
I don't know.
This is the most embarrassing loss since then.
There's always embarrassing losses. The ones where I get the ones that I would get real mad. That's why Josh being so pissed was amazing because I really honestly wasn't expecting that. He and I didn't talk at all before the podcast, so that was pretty great to hear Josh Bowe angry as shit. Oh man. Well, thank you for starting the show off. You all right?
No, I'm not okay, but I'm gonna be all right. You know.
Yeah, well, just be sure to by Saturday afternoon, be ready to be hurt again.
Brother, right? I will be at the movies on Saturday. I am not watching this team. I'm not watching this team. Not twice, not 2 days in a row.
No, I have basketball practice for my kids' team on Saturday night at 7:30. So I'm like,
be grateful.
Yeah. Maybe they'll learn how to play defense. Probably not. All right. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right. From one Brian to another. Brian Zillum, welcome to the show. Brian is a former contributor to Mavs Moneyball. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right, Kirk. How are you?
Yeah. You know, that sucked. But I wrote my screed in a recap. And I felt good about that. And,
it's an outlet to get out your feelings.
That's right.
Everybody likes Yelly Kirk, but I mean,
I wasn't that mean. I just simply said this team needs to buck the fuck up and play.
No. But I think people, especially after a shit show tonight, expected ragey Kirk. I'm gonna fucking throw shit off the wall, and it's just Jason Kidd. You only have so many bullets in the chamber. It's an 82-game season.
Well, it might have had to do with the fact that I had some beverage that has ashwagandha. I don't know how to say it, but it's basically an herb that calms you down. I had that at 10:30. So
we're in the hippie Henderson hour.
That's right.
I mean, it's almost 1 o'clock Eastern time, so why not?
Oh yeah, but I'm here. Remember, I've moved back to Dallas. I'm good.
Well, I mean, all Eastern, because I think Brian, he's Eastern, right?
Oh, Brian's Dallas too.
Okay, well then I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry, Brian.
Okay.
So, our good friend Jason Kidd, he's not having a good season to start of the year, Kirk. And it's funny. Every time, well, especially the last 2 weeks, I've received. I don't get bombarded as much as you because I'm just me, but. My friends will text me, what does Jason Kidd do? Why is he here? What does he actually do? And I was like, well, he's a vibes guy. That's, he vibes. And when the vibes are not vibing, you get the office meme. Quite frankly, Jason, what do you exactly do here? Because you see his expression, Kirk, like in the third quarter when they were getting their asses kicked, he kind of made a face, and it was just like, what are you doing? Because like I feel like he'd be like, you think back to the year one, the Western Conference run. You always think about him jumping around when he's directing traffic with Dorian. Do you remember that? Like, I think it was against the Suns when they were coming back. Like, you think about that, and obviously the year last year, as someone who did not want Kidd, I didn't really have that much complaints because the year finished the way it did. Sure. And when you have a coach to take your team to the finals, I mean, what can you really complain about? Now, I see tendencies where I'm seeing tendencies from year two Kidd, which we wanted to throw Kidd into the abyss, especially after that Lakers game, because you see some of these banger quotes already, and it's like, oh, buddy, we're already 12 games in, and you're kind of just blaming, like we're blaming our slow start on Quentin Grimes. He's barely had a cup of coffee. But
then Quentin Grimes came out and responded. So I'm not exactly a Kidd defender, but when you lose to a team that's as bad as the Jazz, the players have to have the forefront of the frustration, because Kidd can't make Lively not be a dummy. Like committing two fouls, and like Kidd leaves him out there and he commits his third foul or whichever it was. It was like maybe the fourth one. It's like, gosh, come on, guy. Like, there could be a super mix from Panda Hank of all the times Luka doesn't put a body on anyone for rebounding, and then the other guy goes up and gets the board. It sucks, man. Like, the players they need to have a little pride. I think Kidd, Josh said this in the recap show, not sure if you heard, Kidd did get pissed after the Denver game. He was pissed.
Oh, yeah. And then the game before, he was a dick to Tim Cato. I heard that.
And so they proceed to lose. So it's like, you only have, I really believe this. It's taken me a long time to understand this, 20 years of NBA fandom to really understand this, that you really only have so many times before you kind of lose everyone's attention. I mean, sure. It's why my rants stop being funny when the team sucks, because it's like, well, we've seen this before. Who cares?
Well, can I counter your counter? Okay, so I believe, because when you look at the bench of the Mavericks, I believe it was Tim Cato who pointed out, I believe the Dallas Mavericks have 15 assistant coaches. You see Billy Rose.
They have many. It's true.
My counter is, if Kidd is not going to be that guy, fine. But you have Shamgod, you have Armstrong, you have Sweeney. There's probably 10 assistant coaches on there. You're telling me one guy can't get up in their face and say, get your shit together, guys? Yeah. Like, we don't have Kyrie tonight. PJ Washington is not like the god of defense. You can beat these losers. They want to tank for Coop. Like, Shamgod can go in there and just like fire somebody up. And I guess that's what I feel like the Magic's coach, didn't he kind of do that before he left?
I can't remember.
I feel like he was maybe I'm fabricating that entire thing, but I feel like if there was anybody with fire that would get kind of like pissy in a timeout if shit was going wrong, he would. And this is the greatest count, for every Carlisle. It was time for Carlisle to go. I submit to that. However, this is the polar opposite. You get vibes. You don't get, now Kidd can call an okay play from timeout here and there, but like, he's vibes. He's, ego manager. That's his job. But like, if he's not there, if his vibes aren't picking up from the teams and it just stinks, he's just existing. And I want to just make this very clear. Jason Kidd is not going anywhere. He's not. He just signed a multi-year extension, like before the finals even finished up. He's here to stay. Yep. So this is kind of what we have to deal with. He's not really worth getting upset on. I mean, you can definitely dump on him. I know Brian actually pointed out something that really pissed me off about like the clay for Jaden Hardy. Every time Jaden Hardy catches the ball, I feel like I'm watching like a YMCA basketball game. It's like, brother, like just slow it down. Like and just like Hardy handling the ball in a clutch situation, it gives me the ick.
Yeah,
that just tells me we're going to lose the game. Like,
shouldn't be happening.
No, and you can't tell me Clay's defense was that much better than Hardy's. Like, what was Hardy had like a awesome looking dunk, cool. But I think you even pointed out, like, what is it? His like possession to turnover ratio. It's like
he has a lot of turnovers, many turnovers.
I just don't really understand that at all. And the fact that we had, Jaden Hardy of Utah, Jordan Clarkson, kind of ending the game with his and one like oop-de-oop pass while everybody's just like, I don't know, man. I feel so bad for Sean Sweeney because he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Get in position. Like, and I feel so bad for that guy, man, because I feel like he's doing his job. Like, I mean, you're a coach, you're a parent. Like,
I kind of don't get why he was coaching it at all at that point. Like, if you have to tell these guys where to go, then you've kind of lost the thread against the Jazz. But that's just me.
Yeah, and like I know Josh brought it up earlier, but like their persona or aura just like act like their shit doesn't stink.
Yeah.
And we've been spoiled because they've just magically pulled these 75% win percentages after the All-Star break out of their asses the last 2 to 4 years, and it's just like, oh, we can't. It'll be fine. Now, if this was the Eastern Conference, I'd be like, that's fine. No worries. But, like, this is a bear, man. And then Oklahoma City is still kicking ass. I actually feel kind of good about tiny Oklahoma City Sunday, but they have to win both of these games. Like, there's no ifs, ands, bullshit.
They got to do something, man. They got to do something.
These games. Mm-hmm. Like, because you look at their stretch, because they've got the Pelicans, I believe, Tuesday. Because if you look, this should have been an easy 3 out of 4 stretch, and now you've got to go in there and beat some ass. And then if you somehow fart around and only come out of here the winners of 3 out of 4,
yeah,
I don't know what you do.
We're about to find out, buddy. Back to back, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep, and Wemby just dropped 50. Good job. Yep. Good luck, Lively.
Yeah. I don't know. I look for that matchup. That's a good get right game. I'm looking forward to that one. But hey, thanks so much for joining, buddy.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
All right. Talk to you. All right. Coming up next is everybody's favorite Jason Kelce impersonator, Jason Gallagher. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. How are you?
All right. Saying hello to Dirk.
He's all I got. He's all we got left, buddy.
That's right.
It's funny because I subbed in for you the last podcast when you're having internet issues, and I
haven't talked to you in like 3 months.
I know.
We just kept missing each other. It's really funny.
I had a good catch up with Josh before I had a good catch up with you. But it was funny because Josh was pointing out that it was how you and I, neither one of us were overly dramatic after the last win. Mm-hmm. I wasn't either. And the last loss. This loss is yikes city, brother. And
Josh was super pissed. Josh Bowe never starts podcasts angry, and he was super pissed.
And I think personally, fans can feel however they want. Josh and I discussed that in detail last time.
Whole point.
I think fans had the right to be a little bit like, okay, this guy's not falling, guys. The last loss, because it's like they're good teams, whatever. This one shows the primary issue with the Dallas Mavericks this year. The thing that I was worried about coming into the season, which was they're a weird ass team that loves to coast at the worst times. And this game was the like shining star on that thesis, because they look terrible. And it all kind of comes down to like effort and focus. And it's like, there are people arguing with me on Twitter that are like, they had a horrible offseason, or they're trying to blame this, that, and the other. I'm like, dude, they're too talented to lose to the Jazz. Regardless of what you think about the offseason, this is not on Klay Thompson or Najee Marshall. Obviously, we want those guys to play better, but this ultimately is not on them. It is clearly a focus issue. It is clearly a maturity issue. It is clearly a discipline issue. And they, like, personally, as a fan who has good long-term perspective and everything like that, I am so glad they got smacked in the mouth. I'm so glad it's trending. I'm so glad it's out there. I'm so glad that what happened on that last defensive breakdown is going to be memed into oblivion. I'm happy about it because there is enough time to fix it and there's enough talent to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think, but it has to be fixed. Like the last game, I had a much different tone. This one is a bit more like, guys, Jesus, like you cannot put out that kind of effort and expect to win in the Western Conference. I don't care if it's the Jazz. I don't care. Like you can't do it. And so yeah, there's a part of me, maybe it's a sick part, that's just like, good, get smacked, get your egos taken down 10 notches, that you can't fuck around your way to winning basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the right. I think it's the correct take if you're looking at the long view. I mean,
but that, yeah,
it's taxing. It's really taxing, and it's not. I choose to do all this stuff, so I don't want to complain about it. But it's like there's a lot of every year there's always the thoughts of like, what if I chose differently?
Well, you wouldn't have the relationships you have. You wouldn't have the highs are very high. That's the one thing Josh and I talked about last year or last episode, was just like this is what this team is like. The highs are highs and the lows are lows, and you're just like, how and why? And we're just never going to get the Nuggets. Like, we're never going to get this model of efficiency. We're always going to do this.
Well,
with
and
that comes some pretty remarkable memories.
I'm glad you touched on that, though.
Yeah.
You want to hear a spicy take for Game 12?
Yeah.
Luka cannot win MVP.
Ever?
Not this year.
Oh, yeah. I think that ship has sailed.
I think it's sailed.
I already... It's too exhausting of a thing to argue about for you.
You and I spent so much time talking about it last year, whole podcast, and then for him to do this is really embarrassing. I mean, you hear Tim Legler beating around the bush when he talks to Adam Mares. I don't know if you listen to the All NBA podcast,
like it, yeah.
But it's Mares like Legler beats around it, but it's like he's like, look at what he is saying in slightly coded language is Luka came into the season looking worse than last year, and that's shocking to him. And
I mean, it actually
it's shocking to me too.
It actually tracks why he looks worse. I mean, something that Josh touched on,
okay,
from Bobby, that he, the teams committing to not blitzing him has messed with him.
Oh yeah.
Clearly, I think he was a much better player when he was getting blitzed, and so, but by and large, I agree. He does not look the same. He doesn't look very, it was weird. I was trying to explain this last episode where it was like, he doesn't look happy, which oftentimes he doesn't, but it's like to start the season, he rarely comes out like the way he's just looks angry and all that stuff.
Some of this you can really chalk up to specific circumstances. His rookie year, he was coming off the Real Madrid season where he was tired coming into the year. 1920 was the year they got off to a 16-5 start. He looked amazing. He looked like an MVP candidate then. Mm-hmm. Then he showed up in the bubble looking the best he's ever looked. Then that next year, which was essentially 4 months later, and if you go look at pictures of, if you have a Getty subscription, I don't know if you do, if you do, go look at Luka Doncic versus the Milwaukee Bucks in 2020. It was like December of 2020.
Yeah,
he looks as bad. Like there's like memes. It looks like a Photoshop. Like he is carrying. And Tim McMahon reported he showed up to that camp close to 280. Yeah. And you would see it. And so that was different though because they didn't know when the season was going to start. So yeah. But then like 20, so that was 2020, 21, 22 also didn't show up very well. But then he got into great shape. The Mavericks found a run and they made it to the Western Conference Finals. So who cares? 22, 23 was the frustrating season from hell where things never really were right. Last year was last year where they made it to the finals. And I actually thought he started the season pretty well because we were pretty pissed at the start that he had because he's scoring champ. Like he was scoring 1 billion points from the very beginning.
Last year was his best season.
And then this year, like I know I don't, whether he had a calf injury or not, whether he didn't want to play in the preseason or not, I don't really blame him for and I don't blame the Mavericks for taking it easy with him, because it's, again, the guy has a ton of basketball miles, but I'm just surprised.
Well, I want to point out something about the reason why I am no longer arguing for his MVP candidacy. Not that there's a good argument to be made, but regardless, it's simply like we had a podcast, not plug-in, but we had a podcast this week with Dante DiVincenzo and Duncan Robinson, and they talked about culture within teams and how Duncan kind of was just like, honestly, let's be real. The best players, the superstars on your teams are the ones to set the culture. As much as you want to talk about like this or that or whatever. And so they referenced Jimmy and they referenced Steph and they referenced these guys. I think Luka, the leadership thing is just, it's very apparent if you watch every game, that he is like, I don't think he's coming across as the best leader right now. And I don't want to say anything controversial, but it's like, when you start every season slow, when you start every playoff series down 0-1, when you start every first quarter down, I just am like, that's a reflection of leadership. You can blame it on the coach. I mean, coach is involved in that, but I think your best players, I mean, that's part of the big salaries. It's part of being the best players. That is a reflection of your leadership. And I think that is the part, that is the single part that I'm like, I really hope he improves on that, because it literally starts with him, because everything trickles down. If you're, some other player there and you watch the effort and the lapse of judgment that happens on defense, like how that's going to reflect down. It's going to trickle down. And I think that is that's just a huge thing. And it's a huge reality, because I still think he's top 2-3 most talented player in this league. Sure. Still, I think if I'm building a team from scratch, he's pretty high up there. It's just like he's getting to be, at least from watching, he's getting to be grading. His like personality, everything like that is getting to be grading. And I kind of can't see a world where that doesn't permeate down to the rest of the roster.
I mean, it clearly does for anybody that's not a Mavs fan. Like, he is not a well-regarded player. Like, Nikola Jokic is essentially, doing a better version of what Luka did for 2 years. Yeah. And he's kind of the runaway MVP at the moment.
Yeah. And you see how engaged he, like, I can't remember when Dallas played Denver a few nights ago. And I mean, did you see how wide it was? Like a defensive possession. Jokic, like, camera cuts to Jokic and he's got wide eyes and he's telling his guys exactly where they need to be. I don't know if you remember this shot.
I do.
It was right after a timeout. The coaches had just gone through this, but he reiterated to his guys. Now, I love moments like that with superstars, because those are the things that you can't really count. But it's like that type of leadership is the kind of thing that you don't see terribly often from Luka. And it happens occasionally, but is that annoying if you're playing with a guy who occasionally is like, I care about defense this possession? Like, it's just, I think he really, I don't even know. I don't know how to I don't know how to manage that. I have no idea. A part of me is like, he needs to be put in ref timeout. He cannot talk about a ref. For fuck's sake, you can't make that kind of mistake at the end and then complain about it. Like, you just literally can't. Like, and so I'm at the point where it's like, I still defend the guy. I'll defend this guy until forever. He's given us some unbelievable moments. He will give us some unbelievable moments.
Sure.
He king.
Today was a great offensive game for him, with the exception of a few rough shot decisions, but.
I think he needed a moment. I'm of this opinion that, like, it's early days. We got time. We got the talent. They needed to be smacked. Ever since that finals game, they needed to be embarrassed. And hopefully this is embarrassing. Enough. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like it's so weird. It's like you play really well against Phoenix, Denver, and Golden State, 3 pretty elite teams this year. Like you play well against healthy versions of those teams. So it's like, I know I'm not dumb. Like I know this team is talented enough.
Sure.
Do they have a switch that turns on to say, oh shit, the other teams are trying pretty hard, we should do the same?
You would hope, but we're going to have to see, man. Going to have to see.
Yes, sir.
Oh gosh. All right.
What else you got? What else you got?
Nothing. I want to go to bed, I think.
Yeah, good for you.
I want to go to bed.
We should do a real podcast sometime. You and
we
me.
should. It's hard. The Mavs play games pretty much every other day the rest of the month. Have you looked at the schedule?
Yeah, I have. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I've been doing these playbacks, which are fun. We get like 30, 40, 50 people hanging out. It's like it's not the same as a podcast. You're just kind of watching and talking shit. But then I'm just like, this is a lot of games left. Which is kind of the point. Like, and that's where it's like the long view. Josh said before we closed out, he's like, tell everybody, let's get this out of your system. Meaning anybody who's mad, and then come back for the next one. And I think that's the right approach.
I think get it out of your system. Get a couple. I do think these next 2 games are winnable. I mean, Oklahoma City is still a great team, even small. I will be at that game, but hopefully they haven't lost a game while I'm in that arena.
Oh, I like that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it. I don't know if everyone else is, but I'll bring it.
All right, man. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. See you, buddy.
Later. Okay. Last but not least, Sam. What's up, Sam?
Kirk, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Long time no talk. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've been kind of in the background. I've been watching, but I'll be quick. I know you're tired. I was actually gonna make another point, but with you and Jason talking about Luka and the MVP, which I agree, he's done. He's not gonna win MVP this year. Just at this point, forget it.
It's just too much of a thing you could hang over his head.
Yeah, and when y'all were bringing up that point, I was actually reading an article. I don't even know how it popped up, but it popped up a couple of days ago about Jokic, about how after like the 1920 season when they went on the hiatus because of the pandemic, he actually he was in shape, but he was like in shape, and then he came back in the bubble and he was like in shape, and ever since that point he's been that guy. I mean, hell, they got to the Western Conference Finals, and then the next year, you had the shortened season. It was even shorter for him because, they played more games in the bubble, and he played every game that year. I think he missed 1 game out of 7.
Right.
And he won MVP. Obviously, he won it because Embiid got hurt, but he still won it. Then he won it again. He probably should have won it the next year, but Embiid got it because, it's like a pity MVP for him. And he's the front runner to do it this year. And what does he do? Does he complain? Yeah, he complains. But he just goes out there. Jason pointed out, he tells guys what to do on defense. He just does what he does.
Yeah.
And Luka, he does what he does, but sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if he's going to be pouting. Because in that third quarter, he was pouting. He was bitching. Like, you could tell. He was like, oh, this is bullshit. Like this. He was just pouting. And that's how they got down by 16 points. And it's like, the team is talented enough to come back against a team that's, let's be honest, they're not trying to win, the Jazz, and they still beat us. So I don't want to get upset because, like you said, it is 12 games. But the fact is that they came back from a finals loss. Everybody knew, like, okay, they're going to be motivated. We don't want to start off slow. We want to come out the gates just hot. I'm not saying be 13-0 like the Cavs, but, you want to be 8-4, 9-3, something like that, something decent. Because now, look, you've already lost to Golden State. You've already lost to Phoenix. You've already lost to Denver. You lost to Utah. Like, these matter at the end, where you want to be a top 6 seed. These are going to come back to bite you. You lost twice to Phoenix already. You already lost twice. So now it's like, okay, I don't know if they play 2 more times. Where you can maybe get a tiebreaker or something with that. But you're just giving games away, and it's kind of like last year in the clutch. It's like, was Dante Exum that big in the clutch for us that we need him, to play clutch games? Because when he was there, we were winning these clutch games last year. I don't know why, but we were. And now he's not here, and we don't know what to do. Yeah. And even the sad fact is, with all these games that we've blown, we've had a lead in every game in the last 2 minutes.
Yes, that's what's painful. That's it. And they're 1-6 in clutch games so far.
Yeah, that's horrible. And the fact that we've had leads in these games, and it's just like, every time you see a 2 or 3 pointer, you say, "How are they gonna blow it this time?" That's what I tell myself at this point.
Yep.
But like I said, the only good thing is it's an embarrassing loss. It's giving me that Detroit Pistons game in 2022 when the only game on that night, and we got beat by the crappy ass Pistons.
Oh God, I remember that one. Fuck, that sucked.
So the good thing is it's early. You would hope they wouldn't start off like this, and here we are. But hey, the season doesn't start till Christmas, right?
You're right.
But yeah, that's all I got. Like I said, it's I don't blame everybody for being pissed off because it's kind of like, bro, what are y'all doing? We invest everything into this team, and I might say, obviously, I'm not a basketball player. I haven't played basketball professionally since high school, and it's kind of like, just act like you care,
Body language is a big deal, man. We all see it in HD. It's so obvious. Like when they cut to the Mavericks during timeouts, it feels awful. It feels like a staff meeting that no one wants to be at.
Yeah, the vibes are definitely not immaculate right now. They're definitely not. But yeah, that's all I got, Kirk. You have a good night, man.
John, man, good to hear you. I hope you come back. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
All right, have a good one.
All right, go.
All right, guys, this has been fun. Saturday, Josh is going to have to go solo. I have a basketball team to coach, and then I have something I have to do socially, and I don't really have a social life, so this is going to be weird for me. But I will be back on Sunday for sure. Maybe we'll give Josh a little bit of a break. Thanks so much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys lasting and hanging around here. Everybody be good, and go Mavs.